Hello, and welcome to Rolling with Reviews. I'm Will, and with me as always is the person who doesn't care for your flying buttresses,
Sarah.
And today, we're doing a review of Slay the Spire, the board game, Collector's Edition. Now, if you want to see our two-player perspective and accessibility, check out our other video, Rolling with Two, Slay the Spire, the board game, Collector's Edition. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right. Slay the Spire, the board game, is a cooperative deck-building adventure based on the video game of the same name. Create a unique deck, encounter bizarre creatures, discover relics of immense power, and finally become strong enough to slay the spire. All right, so Will, why did we get this?
Now, we were big fans of the video game.
Yep.
And the way we played it is we sat together and actually tried to play it cooperatively together, even though you can only play one player.
Yeah, it is a one-player game.
It's a solo game.
Solo game.
And when this game said you have the option for, you have cooperative play.
Right, it is a co-op play.
Yeah, we wanted to check that out.
Right, because as much fun as we wwere having with the video game, we're still two people controlling one character.
Right. We're just of two minds of it.
Most of the time we agreed.
Yes, yes.
But yes, the ability to each have our own character was very enticing. So that's why we got it. So, what do we like about the game?
This is a fantastic implementation.
Yeah.
They kept the spirit of the game right down to the cards you can unlock, so that addictive play of, ooh, there's more to see, I want to do more, I want to push myself.
Right. All the challenges that you face.
All the challenges, and in fact, I'd say they even captured the feel of a lot of the enemies you see in the video game.
Yeah.
They act similar in the board game, while at the same time they're making very smart choices to simplify the game so it doesn't overwhelm the person who has to, track everything.
Right, because you don't have a computer here to do all of the math for you.
Yeah, so you don't have dozens and dozens of hit points, you just have a handful.
Yeah.
Which is a lot easier to handle, deal with, and track.
Yes. Yeah, they were very smart in focusing in on retaining the fun, getting the spirit of the mechanisms, but making it a good board game.
Right.
Because making a video game into a board game, you need to capture it and make a good board game first. I mean, because if you just try to throw in the video game in the kitchen sink, it's not necessarily going to be a good board game.
True.
All right. And it really did give us what we wanted, the co-op play. I get to play a character, and Will gets to play a character. And we don't, you are working together, but I can make the decisions about my character and how I want to develop it or grow it. And Will gets to do the same with his own character.
Yeah, and the other neat thing is, it's kind of that what if scenario happens, like, well, what if so-and-so and so-and-so teamed up and tackled the spire?
Oh, yeah.
You actually get to see it and play it, and it's as fun as you could imagine.
Right, because that is actually one thing that the video game cannot offer is new synergies.
Yes.
Between the characters. These characters exist. There's 4 characters, and they exist in the video game, but you can only ever play one of them at a time. So the board game offers a look at how would they work together.
Yes.
And that is a really interesting
dynamic,
and it opens up the concept.
Yes, because you can exploit weaknesses. You can explore synergies, like Sarah was saying.
Yeah.
And just see these characters working and feeding off one another in very interesting ways.
Yep. Well, I think that covers pretty much everything we like about the game. So, what we don't like, setting up the box in the first place is really unfun.
Yeah, whether you have the collector's edition or not, you're going to be doing a lot of sleeving. And it's because when the cards upgrade, you have to pull them out, since they're double-sided, to show their other upgraded side. The card sleeves act as the card backs. Hundreds of cards need to be sleeved before you can even really start getting into the game.
Basically, anything that can go into a player's deck has to be sleeved.
Yes.
That doesn't leave that many cards unsleeved. All the mini cards, they don't have to be sleeved. Some, the monsters, don't have to be sleeved. And then there's that starter card that lets you choose a benefit.
Yeah, the big
something
whale.
Blessing.
Blessing of the giant whale thing.
Yeah, I can't remember the whale's name.
Yeah.
But yes, those don't have to be sleeved. But the curses and the days and the other status effect ones, those have to be sleeved. And then as you unlock new cards, you'll need to put those in sleeves because then they go into their appropriate deck for possibly playing with in future games.
Right.
Learning the rules. So the rules are comprehensive, except for one thing, which we'll talk about in a moment. But learning the rules, if you've never played the video game, could be a bit challenging because they'll introduce a concept and mention a few other concepts, but not explain those other concepts till later.
Yeah, they just want to prepare you that there's going to be more to this.
Yeah.
It does a pretty good job.
It does. It's long and it's hard. You can't break it up. Like, you really need to learn it all in one go for it to all make sense in your head.
Yeah. Nice thing is if you've played the video game, it'll give you the context you need. And like, oh yeah, that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. And sure enough, when it gets to it, it's like, oh yeah, okay, I can see how that implements and that makes sense.
The other thing is, if you've played the video game, then you can kind of guess what you do at the end of a game. However, the rules don't actually tell you.
That is the major oopsie that they kind of forgot. They do mention that it is something they missed, and the instructions are on BGG. But at the end of the game, you have to reset your player's deck down to its starter cards. All the cards that have been upgraded needs to be downgraded, put into their respective piles, and everything needs to be returned to that starting set. It doesn't tell you.
And you lose all your treasure and potions. So basically, you have to set it back to what you started with at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
It just doesn't tell you that. Now, again, if you've played the video game, you understand that that's how it happens, because when you start a new run on the video game, you start back at 0.
Right.
You just have unlocked the potential to gain more cards.
Yeah.
So
I think the thing that also throws us is, since we came from the video game, there were ways for us to improve our character.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen here. Like, for example, you may start with more hit points, and that's something you've unlocked in the video game. That's not a thing here.
Well, not yet. We've only played a few games, so we haven't done all of them. But no, I mean, even looking through what you get to unlock, there's nothing that gives you more hit points.
Yeah, because the dual layered boards show each player this is their max hit points, and it starts there. There's no other spaces to the right showing, ooh, there may be something.
That is probably something they had to simplify to make it work for the game, for the board game.
Yeah.
That's, though, all we don't like about the game.
Okay.
So who is this for?
We believe it's for intermediate and advanced players.
Yeah.
Just because of how many different mechanisms that you have to keep track of and learn about. It may be very overwhelming for a new player. Heck, I would say take the new player, plop them down in front of the video game. Let that run it through them a couple times. And if they grasp it, then bam, they're an intermediate player, and they can go right into this.
But I think this will be great for those who really love Slay the Spire, and the one thing they've never been able to do is share it with friends.
Right.
Because that is what this offers over the video game, is that cooperative play. So I can see people buying this. They'll still play Slay the Spire on their own when they've got solo time, but buy this because then they have friends. Maybe there are casual friends. Give them the easy guy, the one that's just the fighting. I forgot what he's called.
The Iron Blade, Iron
Yeah, it's been a little bit since we looked at this. So anyways, I think you could play it with newer players if everyone else at the table was more advanced.
Right.
Because that's the great thing about co-ops, is you can do that where you have unequal player skill and ability, because then you could give them the easier character, and then everyone on the table can help, and that could be a good teaching, learning experience.
But that is a very good point, because there have been people on forums like, I already have the video game. Why do I even need this? Like, well, if you just plan to play it solo, then you don't need this. But if you actually have people you want to share the experience with, the board game's superior.
Exactly. Because because you literally can't play. Well, you can play the video game cooperatively like we do, but most people don't play video games the way we do.
Right. And yeah, you could share your play of the video game, but you're really going to have someone their eyes glaze over and like not be interested, and you might actually turn them off the game.
Yeah, that's true.
If you try to share it that way.
All right, let's move on.
So, for our ratings, we each have 1d6 worth of ratings to give. 1 is low, 6 is high. We give a number, a reason why, add them together, and see what it rolled for us. Sarah, what did Slay the Spire, the board game collector's edition, roll for you?
I don't think this is going to surprise anybody, especially if you've watched the Rolling with 2 video as well. This is a 6. I mean, this is fantastic. I love the video game, and this gives me the one thing the video game didn't give me, and that was a true co-op experience, and it is so good. It is, I just can't say enough positive things. They made it into a good board game first, and they made the IP work on the table rather than just kind of, I don't know, I can't figure out how to explain it, but there are other IP-based board games that just don't work because they just try to make it too much like the video game. And this one is like, nope, we're gonna make a good, fun board game that incorporates all the best elements of the video game, and it succeeds.
For me, 6 as well. This thing credited us because like Sarah said, it's streamlined, but it carries beat for beat, note for note, everything we absolutely loved about the video game, and managed to give us a little bit more because it has the cooperative element.
Yeah, and we still have played, and in fact, we've played the video game after we played the board game just to kind of, I don't know, to have a good comparison.
Yeah, I was like, did we miss anything? And yeah, there are tiny little nuance elements in the video game that aren't in here. Maybe some of the way the status effects work is a little bit more fluid or dynamic. The hit points are more. Maybe you can do a little bit more with the characters, but none of that would make a good board game. Right. And that's one of the things they were very concerned with, and why they took their time with is they mastered making the right feeling choices so that you had both a great board game and a great video game.
Yep. And I can still see us playing the video game cooperatively like we used to, but then there's going to be times where we're like, nope, we really want that co-op experience. Let's play the board game. So
what got me is there were certain bosses in the video game.
Right.
And I was like, well, they'll never recreate that feeling in a card game. And then we fought that boss in the card game. It's like, dang, all the tension that was still in the video game is still here in the board game in all the best ways.
Agreed.
So 12 out of 12, can't say enough good things about Slay the Spire, the board game.
If you want Slay the Spire, the co-op game, this is for you. If you want Slay the Spire, the solo game, probably stick to the video game. I mean, unless you really don't like video games and you want to try this solo. We haven't really looked at how it plays solo, but I think it's only a few extra cards to try to boost you up to be more equivalent to 2 characters, but you're still playing just 1 character. I still think it'd be a great experience. I just think for a lot of people, the video game might be a better solo experience. But if you are a board gamer and not a video gamer, and you only solo, this could still be a very good option. I'm not saying it's not good at solo. Anyways.
All right, that'll do it for us. And Sarah, one thing I did notice is with all the things they worked on, they didn't bother trying to create more content. Now, do you think if they had, that would have made the video game fans upset?
I mean, it's possible. I think the only thing they kind of did extra was the claw pack, I think was actually one of the things that had to be bought or gotten separately.
Yeah,
but I think
the claw mechanism is
in the video game.
In the video game. I'm saying, what if they introduced a 5th character? Do you think that would have like?
I think the video game fans would have been really upset, and they probably would have said, "Okay, when's it coming to the video game?" Because and I wouldn't blame them, because if it works on the board game, I don't see how it wouldn't work in the video game, except that they probably would have to upscale it. Because again, they simplified a lot of things for the board game.
True.
So a character made just for the board game would kind of need some redesign to work in the video game world because it might be underpowered.
True.
So I'm not surprised they didn't. In fact, I would be surprised if they ever do more content for the board game that isn't also going to be for the video game.
Right.
And again,
or for the next Slay the Spire.
Yes.
Like, oh, here's a preview of what's coming up in Slay the Spire 2.
Yeah.
Electric Boogaloo. You know. All right.
Okay.
And we've been Rolling with Reviews.
If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to us on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with Two, that's TWO. We're on Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Discord, we have a channel on Tabletop Express. Check the show notes for the invite link.
If you have time, check out the other content Nanaman has found for you, because remember, he's rolling with you.